Last month, I made a tier ranking on my Twitter account of how Eli Goldsworthy, my favorite male Degrassi character, replaced the Friday the 13th movies. Even though our favorite emo boy was a pretentious snob at times on his show, I still think that despite how cheesy the Friday movies are, he would still think that they're the fun kind of cheese and that he'll find Jason Voorhees a psychologically interesting character. He would sympathize with Jason's backstory as someone who was also bullied as a kid while having a disability of some sorts and retroactively takes revenge of his mistreatment with each machete slash. And I'm also just projecting my personal feelings about the franchise onto him. If I love Friday the 13th, Eli must love it too. That's how it works with me. These rankings aren't my own personal opinions on a movie. This is just how I think the character will feel about them. So no getting too mad in replies if you disagree. This is his least favorite Friday movie because he finds the movie's premise extremely stupid and its tone too silly to take seriously. It's where the series truly jumped the shark in his opinion. There's some things he likes about this movie. He thinks Uber Jason is badass. He thinks the ending where Sergeant Brodsky battles Jason in space and incinerates them both upon impact in the Earth's atmosphere are fitting in for the original continuity. And he definitely had a horny teenage boy crush on KM. Other than that, there's no redeemable aspects of the movie in his opinion. As for what I think, honestly, Jason X is my fifth favorite in a franchise, and it hurts even saying that all of this. Look, the movie knows it's dumb, that the idea of an undead, mass-murdering zombie raging around on a spaceship is unserious, but you know what? I eat up on every rewatch. The girls that get it, get it. Eli hates Jason Takes Manhattan because of the fact that the majority of the movie takes place on a boat in actual Manhattan, that the movie's cast are cheap copies of Part 7's cast, who are cheap copies of Part 4's cast, that Jason randomly has the ability to teleport in his movie, that his kid version randomly has hair and no deformities, that he was somehow able to travel from a lake to an ocean, and that Jason's unmasked look in his movie is goofy and ridiculous looking. There's a lot in this movie that he regularly makes fun of and rants about to any poor soul that gave him the permission. What does he like about it? When Jason actually does rampage in New York City, those scenes are iconic until the last 5 minutes happens. And the ending song on the credits is good too. I have the same feelings. This is my second least favorite Friday movie. It sucks. It's disappointing. It's the first real massive L the franchise took in my opinion. The cinematography in some scenes was pretty though. The reboot. He thinks it's an unimaginative, lazy retread of the first four movies with the most unlikable, irrelevant cast of characters in the series. He thinks Derek Mears as Jason is quite underrated because of his cunningness and brutality. He likes Padalecki as Clay and he likes that loser bitch that played Caitlyn on The Flash as Jenna because they're the only likable characters, but that's it. I feel the same way. Moving on. His reasons for not disliking this one as much as the others is that he thinks the gore in this movie was impressive, that Jason's rotted, beaten up look with his mask literally melted onto his face was creepy but awesome. Both the opening and closing scenes are iconic, and that the presence of the Necronomicon opens up some interesting questions on the lore. He also did like some of the characters in the diner and in this movie. One of them literally took on Jason with a shotgun to protect a baby after all. The big negative of this movie, which was adding more confusing, contrived shit to Jason's backstory, prevents him from full-on enjoying it, but his controversial opinion is that he doesn't seriously hate it like most other fans do. For me, this is my absolute least favorite Friday movie. Jason having the ability to body hop? Stupid. Jason randomly having a half-sister who the movie doesn't give any real attention to before they kill her off? Whack. The death scenes in this movie? Nasty. The characters, I don't care about any of them that much at all. I could talk for a whole hour why I hate this movie so much and find it unwatchable, but we'll be here all day, so next. He has has mixed feelings on this one. He feels that while it's a good nightmare movie, considering that Freddy takes the reins for most of the movie, it's not a good Friday movie. He thinks Jason being randomly afraid of water is dumb. He hates that Kane Hodder was raw from playing Jason in this movie, and he finds the majority of the main characters shallow and unlikable. He also finds a scene where Freddy tries to rape Laurie unnecessary, and he knows about those weird as hell proposed for ideas for the movie that thankfully never left the cutting room floor. What saves the movie for him, though, is the awesome opening cutscene, the awesome opening scene, Freddy being willed back into existence just by the teens of Springwood remembering him, and a final showdown between Freddy and Jason at the end. I have mixed feelings about this movie for the same reason. The plot and characters are meh, but it served its purpose and it's fun to rewatch when you're bored. As unpopular as this movie is among the fandom, Eli has a more positive attitude towards it, and that's because of Tommy Jarvis. Eli relates heavily to Tommy's PTSD and mental health issues in this movie, even if he finds pretty much everyone else in this movie annoying and shallow. Even though it could have been handled better, he also finds Roy Burns an interesting parallel to Pamela Voorhees. I personally feel the same way. It's the weakest entry of the first six movies, but Tommy's interesting character movie saves it for me along with the cool death scenes.